Camera bump wars, iPhone versus Samsung. In the high-stakes world of flagship smartphones, every design element tells a story. None more so than the camera bump, that raised module that juts out from the back of your device, making your sleek phone rock on the table and forcing accessory makers to rethink how they build cases. But why has this once controversial design feature become a defining symbol of innovation? Why do iPhone and Samsung Galaxy phones seem locked in a never-ending battle to make their camera bumps bigger, bolder, and more advanced? Welcome to the Camera Bump Wars, a saga of engineering ambition, aesthetic compromise, and fierce brand rivalry between two of the biggest names in tech, Apple and Samsung. 1. Introduction. Why the camera bump? Even matters to the average user, a camera bump might seem like a minor inconvenience, or just part of the design, but in reality, it's the physical manifestation of photography innovation. The bump exists because of limitations in physics and the exponential demands of users. As cameras have become the centerpiece of the smartphone experience, the components inside have outgrown the slim profile of the phones themselves. High-resolution sensors, complex lens systems, periscope zoom technologies, and image stabilization motors all take up space. The bump isn't just about design, it's about capability. 2. The origins of the camera bump. In the early 2010s, phones like the iPhone 4 and Galaxy S3 featured flush cameras. Photography was an important feature, but it didn't yet require complex components. Most smartphones had a single lens, small sensors, and software that did the heavy lifting. That changed around 2014 to 2015. Apple's iPhone 6, 2014, featured a tiny circular bump, the first sign that hardware was outgrowing design symmetry. Samsung's Galaxy S6, 2015, followed suit with a pronounced camera ring, signifying its 16-megapixel rear shooter. The thinness war between OEMs ironically made the bump worse. As phones got slimmer, the depth required for quality optics couldn't be flattened further. Something had to give. The result? A protrusion. What was once hidden inside the body now spilled out. 3. Apple's strategy. Controlled evolution. Apple's camera bump journey is a masterclass in evolution over revolution. iPhone 6 to iPhone X, minimal protrusion. The iPhone 6 introduced the first real bump. It wasn't pretty, but it was small. Apple kept things conservative through the iPhone 8. Then came the iPhone X, introducing a vertical dual-camera bump. Though still moderate, it marked Apple's growing focus on advanced optics and computational photography. iPhone 11 Pro, the square revolution. The iPhone 11 Pro 2019 brought a dramatic change, a large square bump with 3 lenses arranged in a triangle. Some critics compared it to a stovetop, but users appreciated the improvement in camera performance. The bump was now a feature, not a flaw. iPhone 12 and 13. Refinement. Apple kept the square design but increased the lens size, especially on the iPhone 13 Pro models. Each new iteration brought larger sensors, improved night mode, and better video. iPhone 15 Pro Max. Peak bump? With the 15 Pro Max, Apple introduced a tetraprism lens for 5x optical zoom. This required a deeper housing, making the bump more prominent than ever. At this point, the bump wasn't just an extension, it was a camera island. 4. Samsung's philosophy, no limits. Samsung has always pushed boundaries, and its camera bump strategy reflects that. Galaxy S6 to S10. Horizontal thinking. Samsung started with vertical bumps but transitioned to horizontal camera arrays in the S8 to S10 era. These were longer but less deep. The S10 housed up to 3 lenses in a narrow strip, with minimal protrusion. Galaxy S20 Ultra, the monster bump. In 2020, the Galaxy S20 Ultra broke all conventions. It featured a giant rectangular bump containing a 108-megapixel sensor, periscope zoom, and multiple cameras. It was polarizing but undeniably powerful. The bump read, Space Zoom 100x. It was loud, proud, and bold. Galaxy S21 to S24. Ultra, isolated lenses. From the S21 Ultra onward, Samsung moved to a cleaner layout, isolated circular lenses embedded in the back. This design reduced visual clutter but didn't hide the fact that the lenses stuck out individually. The S24 Ultra continued this approach with large, visible lens rings, leaning into industrial elegance. 5. Why camera bumps are inevitable. Engineering breakdown. Here's why flattening the camera is almost impossible. 1. Sensor size. Larger sensors capture more light, improving low-light performance and dynamic range. But a 1-inch sensor like the one in Sony's Xperia Pro I is huge compared to phone depth. 2. Lens stacking. A quality camera lens isn't a single piece, it's often a stack of 6 to 8 glass or plastic elements. Each layer adds millimeters. 3. Optical image stabilization, OIS. Mechanical stabilization mechanisms move the sensor or lens module in real time. These moving parts require housing space. 4. Thermal management. High-performance sensors produce heat. That heat needs to dissipate without overheating the system, requiring metal shielding and passive cooling, all of which add depth. 6. Design and aesthetics, beauty or beast. The bump raises aesthetic questions. Apple's take? Polished, symmetrical, refined. Even with its size, Apple keeps clean lines and sculpted metal contours. Samsung's angle, industrial, bold, techy. Isolated lenses look like components on a spacecraft. Very intentional and functional. Both styles have fans. Some say Apple's bump feels more integrated, while others love Samsung's unapologetic commitment to power. 7. Durability, wobble, and drop risks. The bump affects how phones behave in the real world. Wobble on tables. A lopsided bump causes uneven resting positions, especially for phones like the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Increased drop vulnerability. Bumps are more likely to hit the ground first. Scratches and damage. Lenses need to be protected, which is why most use sapphire crystal or ultra-durable glass. This is where phone cases step in. Most quality cases include a raised lip to protect the bump or even out the phone's surface. 8. Performance comparison. Are we getting what we pay for? Let's look at the hardware as of 2025. Feature iPhone 15, Pro Max Galaxy S, 24 Ultra main sensor, 48 megapixels, 200 megapixels, telephoto 5 times tetraprism, 5 times optical plus 100 times. Digital ultra-wide, 12 megapixel, 12 megapixel night mode, excellent via photonic engine.